Підстрибла камера.
Один, два, три, чотири, п'ять. Сподіваюся, що ви мене не чуєте, і зараз ви нічого нам не відповісте.
Березня продовжую роботу.
March the 6th, I'm Svetlana Chiporenko, and today we're going to discuss the situation in the Black and Azov Seas and the destruction of enemy ships by our Navy. Dmytro Pletenchuk is the spokesman for the Ukrainian Navy. Hello. Hello, everyone. So, the Forces of Defense of Ukraine destroyed Sergei Kotov battleship. What do we know about the casualties? The enemy is hiding this information, but from our sources we learned that some of the crew were brought by ambulances to local hospital. As to the number of deceased or wounded combatants of the aggressor, we don't know. Even relatives are not allowed to share this information via social media, and since it was dark and the water is quite cold and hypothermia happens within a couple of minutes, and since the payload was high in the missile that hit it, there is high probability that a large number of crew has died. There was information that there was a helicopter on board. Well, now about the helicopter. It's supposed to be there, and usually it's being transported not on the deck, outdoors, but in the hangar, invisible. But we can see that the back doors were open, which might suggest that the helicopter left or not. I mean, so far we haven't verified this information. As soon as we learn whether it was on board, we'll confirm its destruction. Ukraine demonstrates naval victories. What's the backbone of that victory? Technical inventions, because we are inventive in everything. Equipment and battle planning as well. Each battle operation plan is unique and with a high level of professionalism of the drone operators, because the video suggests that it's not enough to hit the target. You need to hit the particular spot on a target or hit even twice into the same spot to incur the largest damage, because enemy ships are designed to withstand such attacks. It's quite clear that the enemy is afraid of losing such high number of ships, right? Well, the enemy has reacted to the new threats in the Black Sea, thus dispersing their fleet, bringing most of the missile carriers to the eastern part of the Black Sea, to the eastern shore. So yeah, the enemy is reacting by dispersing and hiding their fleet. Can we claim that these naval attacks are a dry run of massive attack on Kerch Bridge? Well, to a certain extent, all of these operations are interlinked, because this particular ship, Sergei Kotov, was defending a particular naval area, namely right in front of Kerch Bridge, and it was an obstacle to carry out other plans, but claiming that there is direct correlation, well, I'm not ready to make this statement, because such operations have been planned and executed with the involvement of many services of our military. Well, other tasks and objectives on the Black Sea, well, so far we have scared the enemy enough, but last year the enemy was feeling free in the central parts of the Black Sea, was even entering the western and northern parts, but now the enemy could no longer allow all that. So our major objective was to deblock our part of the sea, disallowing the enemy to affect our civilian maritime routes, those that bring revenues to our budget, and the Navy, the Security Service of Ukraine, the military intelligence together carried out this mission. By the way, the humanitarian maritime corridor, what's the status quo? How safe this corridor is? It functions with high level of stability, so we make sure it's a consistent performance. Daily we ensure demining, because the so-called Russian Federation placed many mines in the Black Sea, in the territorial waters of Ukraine in particular. Well, of course, I cannot share all the details with you, but the corridor is functioning and operational. The number of vessels keeps increasing. So business as usual. What's the role of naval drones right now in the situation at the sea, and whether they have changed the security situation in the Black Sea region? Yeah, it's the role of naval unmanned drones. The role is tremendous, because they are destroying or ruining the battleships of the enemy. At some point of time, this type of armament could have been qualified as a game changer, and in this sense, Ukraine is the world driver in applying unmanned naval drones right now. Will there be any questions to Dmytro from the audience?
My name is Lorenzo Cremonesi of the Italian daily Corriere della Sera. By the way, one of our colleagues interviewed you a few days ago for the Corriere. Sir, well, first of all, yes, you can say so. You really are very successful. I mean, there is no doubt about that. In opening the corridors of the grain, we were in Odessa a few weeks ago, and they were all very happy, because the amount of agricultural products is going through the Black Sea thanks to you, basically. But I have some question to ask you. I will go by order. First of all, can you give us an assessment on, first of all, at the end of the day, how many boats, how many Russian ships you destroyed, damaged in the Black Sea, and how many are still there? How many are still operating in the area? And secondly, we had some report that say that, yes, at the beginning of your operation a few months ago, the Russian moved from the Crimea port to Novorossiysk, to the east part of the Black Sea, but some now are back. Can you tell us a little bit about the situation of the Russian ships in the Black Sea and in the harbor of Crimea?
Well, let's start with the Russian ships. And allegedly they are coming back to the base of Crimea, but yesterday and today there is no presence of Russian battleships in Black Sea. They still have to stay in the base of the eastern coast of the Black Sea, using for that a naval base in Novorossiysk, and dispersing their boats and ships between the ports Sochi and Tuapse. Also, there are plans to place the Russian ships in Abkhazia, in the Sapshiri port. And as for ships entering bays and ports in Crimea, and Sevastopol in particular, and as to their presence there, well, it's dwindled to minimum. Sporadically, a ship or two might enter those bays for various reasons, but the lion's share of the ships were forced to be redeployed in the eastern parts of the Black Sea. That's about the presence. Now, what was your first question again?
Sir, about the numbers, can you give us how many boats you sank or heavily damaged, and how many are still operative? How many are still working?
Now, as to the number of items, 27 items, including a submarine, have been hit. 27 of them, 14 are big targets, like large landing ships and missile ships and a submarine and a patrol ship, that these destroyed. Now, as for damaged and currently being repaired, 15 boats. So totally it's 80. So 1/3 of the Black Sea Russian fleet is destroyed or substantially damaged. But the presence is still quite serious. 10 missile carriers, of them 3 are submarines, 2 missile cutters, couple of patrol boats and coastal defense boats. So there's still a huge variety in the number of ships. Also, still 5 landing ships that they have. 4 of them are currently under the repairs after certain damages. So, yeah. We believe that Russia is still quite seriously present both in Black and Azov seas. Thank you.
No. There's something I don't understand. You said altogether you're about 80 ships. You say 27 had been hit, but then you said 14 are big ships which had been totally destroyed, sunk. Sorry, when you say 27, you mean including sunk ship and damaged ships, or only sunk ship? I didn't get the difference.
27 are those ships that have been completely lost to Russia, plus 15 that are currently under repairs.
Okay. Sir, a last question. We see in the last weeks, especially in the last week, an increase of attacks on Odessa. We know that the Russians are attacking the Odessa harbor. That means by drone, by missile, that means that the Russians cannot really operate in the sea, and then they try to hit Odessa to try to stop the activity of the harbor as a kind of replacement for the activity of the ships?
Yeah, for about a year, that's exactly what I am telling the journalists constantly. Namely, currently Russians have a very narrow room for maneuver in the Black Sea. And since their boats cannot approach our coast, could not even feel safe in the central part of the Black Sea, and cannot fully apply the missiles that they're carrying, because those missiles have to be loaded in Crimea, and instead they have to keep shelling from the skies. So yeah, the biggest challenge right now is open skies over Black Sea, where the Russian aviation is still dominating, unfortunately. And yes, the only way for them to affect us, drones, missiles, and aviation. But even aviation, even the Air Force, they use strategic Air Force jets, because they also have problems with operational jets in the Black Sea. Well, we talked to Dmytro Pletenchuk, spokesperson of the Ukrainian Navy, about destruction of the enemy ships and the situation in the seas. And we are back in 40 minutes' time, briefing about the draft law on mobilization.